Thanks, Kelly. It's been more than 70 years since Blanchet House opened its doors in Old Town Portland, serving meals and providing hope to people in need. Every one of those years has been happening thanks to donations and the support of many volunteers. And today, that need is greater than ever.
We do have Scott Kerman, the executive director of Blanchet House, here with us to talk about it this morning. Scott, always good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Blanchet House here in its, 73rd year, if I have done my math right. You're continuing to keep pace with the rampant need. There's constant need, and it continues to trend in that direction. What have you done in terms of meeting the need in Portland this year?
Well, we're on track to serve about 400,000 hot meals in our free cafe this year, which is going to be about maybe 20% more than last year.
Wow.
And last year was 20% more than the year before. So we are really seeing that trend probably moving in the wrong direction. I think we'd like to see less need in our community, but we are there to serve the need. We rescue about 275 tons of food surplus every year. We use that food plus food that we purchase, and then we have volunteers. We need about 50 volunteers a day on site in our cafe to help us serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that's how we're doing it.
How critical are those volunteers in being able to meet that need that just continues to grow?
They are completely critical. We literally could not serve without them. And the way that we do our service is that we serve it almost restaurant style. So volunteers are serving plated dishes to our guests at the tables. Volunteers are serving beverages, walking around the cafe with a pitcher of juice or coffee or milk. And then they're also bussing the tables. We're a house of hospitality, so we're going to do all the work for people who come to enjoy meals with us. And we also use volunteers between our meals to help in our clothing closets, sorting clothes, and other chores that just we need to get done in order so that we can serve people.
Well, you touched a little bit on it just there, but what is the day of the life of a volunteer with the Blanchet House? You know, how much time is being put into the mission?
Yeah, so about 2,500 hours a month just in our meal service. And so that doesn't include the volunteer hours between meals or volunteer hours that people are doing off-site, making sack lunches, doing clothing drives, doing other things to support the community that we serve. And, you know, it's a fantastic service because they come and they serve the meal. It's a very intimate service because you're up close and personal. You're helping feed people. You get to know the people that we're serving. And then we have family meal after our community meal. That's what we call the meal service that we do for the residents in our residential program, but volunteers are welcome to join in that meal. And so I think that's one of the things that volunteers really enjoy is getting to break bread with one another and our staff.
Well, and I do want to ask too, if you're one of those people, then you're like, you know, I only have an hour a week that I could maybe donate to this cause. Is it still worth reaching out to see if they can use that hour at the Blanchet House?
Absolutely. A meal service will run you about an hour and a half to 2 hours because there's some setup time. You don't have to stay for family meals, so if you want to leave right after service, you could get it done in about an hour or so. But it's really, I think, I'm biased, but I think it's some of the best volunteer service that you can do in our community. And I think one sign of that is that we have volunteers who come back again and again and again.
I wanted to ask you about what they kind of take away from it, because it is such a unique way, I think, to get to know some of the people in Portland's houseless community. We see the impacts around the city every day, and there are so many people who think, gosh, what can I do? How can I make this better in some way? What do you hear from people who actually get to have these experiences and have conversations and spend time with folks? What are they taking away from it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the phrase I hear most from volunteers is that it fills their cup. Right? And it just, whether they're coming for breakfast service, which begins at 6:30 in the morning, or they end their day with dinner service, it just gives people a charge. And I think the other thing it does is that our volunteers form community with one another. Again, because I think volunteers are so regular because they get addicted to our service, because they get to enjoy meals together. I've seen wonderful friendships develop among volunteers, real community. And so it just enhances the community that we're creating with the people that we serve.
Well, it was a great, it's a great mission in and of itself, of course. And you were at the Standard Volunteer Expo. The Blanchet House was just earlier this month. We talk about the importance of being able to connect to volunteers on that face-to-face level to answer those questions and what you would want potential volunteers to know if they're watching here this morning.
Yeah, the Standard Volunteer Expo is really, you know, a sort of a must event for us and nonprofits in our community. And it's so great to be able to join with other nonprofits, many of whom we're already colleagues with, that we're in partnership with. We get to meet new nonprofits, and it's just a great experience to have volunteers roaming through the Expo and just asking questions and finding out. And, you know, I think the important thing is that really urge people to volunteer. Maybe Blanchet House isn't, you know, what you're looking for. Serving meals isn't what you're looking for. But there are so many amazing organizations in our community that are seeking help, especially, you know, we're seeing a lot of need. We're seeing a lot of reduction in federal funding. Money is tight here in the county and the state. Volunteers do so much to help nonprofits continue serving and elevating their service.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you being here this morning, and hopefully you got some new names on the sign-up list earlier this month at the Expo. If folks didn't have a chance to join us on September 4th and you still want to look for those ways to get involved in your community, you can learn a lot more about the Blanchet House. We'll put that on coin.com. Scott, thanks for being here. We always appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, if you want to learn more about some of the nonprofits featured at this year's Standard Volunteer Expo, including the Blanchet House, lots of ways that you can get involved. You can learn more right now at